Okay, so what is it?
It is a banjo.
Nice! I fucking love banjos.
I'm not... I can't play it. You know what? I'll practice up on it some later and strum it out with you. I always fuck with my fingers.
Almost trapped him. I started the broadcast, and he was about to play.
Oh, shit. You almost got me playing banjo on fucking live. You're killing me, man.
Almost got you, man.
Oh, that was cold. That was cold. How you doing, though?
I'm doing good, man. I'm chilling out on this this nice gazebo type thing. My friend Elle and I have named it the Vice Hut because I basically come out here to drink or smoke or
hey, you started to broadcast. You got to drink, man.
Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, so what I'm drinking at first is just some peachy cider stuff. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking a Apothic Crush, and it looks like woman just got off work. Come on, give me some sugar.
What's up, woman?
Hey, what's up?
Just hanging out outside, about to do a sound theater live here. Welcome, everybody, and we started just a little bit early so I could try and
trap me into playing banjo online.
He got stirred the last second, but anyway.
Don't you want to stand like just with your breasts on? Oh damn, girl! Oh damn!
What's going on over there?
Miracles are happening.
And I'm just hanging outside. Got the fire, like I promised. The fire going. That is officially what that is. So now this is a fireside sound booth theater live.
Hey, I got some good news for people who were interested in this. We will be doing a Drinking with Charles at DragonCon.
Yes. Dude, I have got to get I still haven't gotten my tickets. I need to do that like right
I
after.
haven't gotten them either. We got to remind me to take care of it tomorrow when I'm sober.
Okay.
I don't want to put information on the internet when I'm drunk. It just seems like a bad idea.
Oh man, my bass is getting all toasty from this fire.
So are you only a guitarist or you play anything else?
I'm not really a guitarist. I'm a bassist.
Oh, well, so you play the easier of the instruments.
Yeah, I guess you could put it that way if you wanted to. But that's why I double up and try and do harder shit than most bass players want to do on the damn thing. But yeah, that's all I really play. I can dabble with a piano a little bit. I know the notes. I started on percussion, so like I'm pretty good with rhythm, but I'm not a great drummer, like with a drum set or anything. So more than anything, I'm a composer. That's my favorite thing to do with music.
You know, I used to write songs for the piano.
Did you?
Yeah, my music teacher used to submit them and give me a little cash on it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. You should get back at it. It's good for
No, that's what I'm thinking about doing is picking up something. I never actually got that far though. Like a lot of people, like I didn't go full on Asian with the piano lessons, and then the teacher beating me over the thing like every stereotype in every movie you've ever seen. Like I just went like the regular white man's version.
You got to go full Asian if you want to be good.
You really do. You really do. You've got to get that Asian dedication.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also drinking this, guys. Some Teeling whiskey. This is a nice Irish single malt. So I'm going to drink this real quick. Take a little sip and then get started here. Cheers.
Oh, let me get it up. As soon as I said it, I knew I had done wrong.
Okay.
You know what one of the biggest differences between Scottish whiskey and Irish whiskey is?
Dude, are you fucking kidding me? Someone just started mowing their lawn.
I can't hear it. I was just gonna tell you the difference between Irish whiskey and Scotch.
Really? Yeah. What is your opinion of the difference between the two?
So even though like you can see like peat smoke and all that stuff with the ingredients, one of the main differences I've noticed is every Scotch whiskey I've seen is only a double distill versus the triple on the Irish.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now
should be triple distilled.
Yeah, about 46%, no chill. It doesn't say on this bottle. It does say 46% though.
Which is a happy percent. You want to get to 50, but 46 is still happy.
46 is good. Okay, guys.
Actually, I would argue some of the best whiskeys you'll find are only between like 40 and 45, like lower on the 40 scale, because sometimes when they're jumping the alcohol content, they sacrifice on the flavor.
I agree.
Sometimes.
But like rye whiskey, that's not the case. Rye whiskey's got a very distinct thing going on. Gotta adjust the fire, guys. Sorry. Okay, so our first request today is the Wayward Bard. And I'm really excited for this production coming up because this is another one of Justin Thomas James's narrations. It's written by Lars M. This is his first book actually published on Kindle, and he's been hanging out on RRL, refining the book. He just got it edited and released maybe like a couple weeks ago. It's been doing really well, so I'm happy for him. And it's a really great, interesting premise for a lit RPG. We're going with a bard character, which everyone kind of thinks of as a throwaway class, I think. Almost everyone. Like,
dude, I play a bard, you dick.
Well, I'm just saying that commonly people see it as like, why would you want to play that? They don't fight well, and everyone thinks that fighting's all you do in video games, which, fair enough. That's what most people do. But
bards fight quite a lot.
Not really.
They've got really good use of, you can use the rapier at the beginning, the finesse weapon. It stacks well with their bonuses. If you get charisma, you've got a ton of spells. They're basically like a sorcerer with extra add-ons, like skills.
That's not how most people see them. That's all I'm saying. They're mostly looked over. But I like them personally for obvious reasons. But Justin Thomas James and Lars have both agreed that this book needs music. So Justin is actually going to be finding a violinist out there in the wild world of Canada. Hopefully they have some up there, and he's going to be writing the music himself with Lars's approval and suggestions. So it's going to be maybe a couple months before this thing comes out because Justin's pretty goddamn busy with Land of the Undying by Dave Wilmarth and with Cherry Blossom Girls, the entire series by Harmon Cooper. But he will be working on the Wayward Bard. He will be making music for it, and I can't wait for it. It's probably going to be our second musical feature at Sound Booth Theater. But actually, Lars has requested that I read some of the Wayward Bard for today's Sound Booth Theater Live. So here goes. Let me read his note to me first. Okay.
Lars is a good guy, but I feel like he still needs to go through his initiation for the Church of Augustus. I saw some lack of knowledge there.
Yeah, he might need to be on a Drinking with Charles soon. But he is on the other side of the world, so we'll have to find a creative time for him to be on.
I also like how you act like Canada's a country when we both know that it's just like this one giant factory that makes like pretty decent liquors and produces television stars. Like that's all it is. It's a weird place that produces American TV stars and liquor for us Americans.
And
maple syrup
of America.
Really? They also produce lots of maple syrup for America. Like it's just one big factory though. There's like 50 workers.
Yeah. It's almost a country. And I'm just trying to be polite by behaving as if they are.
Well, if you count the clones they make, the polite clones they make for like the American television shows, like then it counts as a full country because the population goes from 50, it just goes up to millions. They have just millions of these clones and they're just like, you will star on Psych. In fact, we're going to give you an entire TV show. Then they're like, you shall, you know what? Just make us a craft beer and ship it all over America randomly so that they can't ever love it more than once.
All right, on to this request. Hush your mouth, drinking dwarf. Okay. Shirtog should have a relatively civilized way of speaking. Feel free to give him a dwarven accent. Okay.
What do I sound like?
whatever that actually means, but he doesn't slur his words or mumble much. And that's like the only direction he gave me. So here goes. This is The Wayward Bard by Lars M. Go pick it up on Amazon if you have not yet. The link is in the description. Shurtog was out and about in the graveyard when I visited, doing something with the rake. Observing him for a bit, delving into my extensive knowledge from countless games and computer games, my assessment was that he looked every bit the stereotypical dwarf. Shorter than 1.4 meters, wider than he was tall, and heavily bemuscled, he looked like someone who'd have been able to headbutt the dire rat into submission. I'd met Shurtog a few times before the inn, and there were only two details which made him stand out from every other dwarf I've ever seen. He wasn't wearing any armor, only a head-wearing brownish robe, only a hard-wearing brownish robe? Like, oh, I guess a brownish robe worn hard. Okay. Or wearing hard. Okay, whatever.
You gotta ride it hard. You don't wear it.
Right. Okay.
It's just ride it hard, Jeff.
Liberally smudged with dirt.
Liberally smudge it, Jeff, and then ride it.
And he had practically no hair. His pate was clean-shaven, and he only sported a single, thin tuft of hair on his chin. Every time I saw him, my mind screamed, "Oh my God, a dwarf villain!" I decided that I'd better not mention anything. However, as dwarves were notorious about being touchy about their beards. Also, in a small village like this one, I would likely be able to get all details and more at the tavern later on the cost of a couple of ales. I walked up to him and coughed politely. Shurtog twitched and started looking at the ground around him. "You trying to scare me again, Sans? I ain't falling for it this time." At this point, he noticed me and turned towards me. "Oh, it's the bard again. You seen a skeleton hiding around here? He's such a pain in the behind. Man, I have a bone to pick with him." He looked at me, as if expecting something. I thought, did he just do that on purpose? Never mind. Better answer him instead of staring at him like a yokel. I responded, No skeletons around here, and I'm sorry to say that I haven't moved forward in your task." His quest, looking into why entire bodies were disappearing from the graveyard, was one of the first ones I'd received in Grant's Crossing, and I still hadn't looked into it at all, with being busy with, well, everything else. He shrugged. "No matter. Arcangelo, was it? I won't be falling for any more tricks from that old bag of bones anyway. I can see right through him." Both his eyebrows shot up, and he stared straight at me. My mind was drawing a complete blank. Were those horrible, horrible puns? No, it couldn't be. Are you saying that the undead are actually active around here and that I'm looking for skeletons? Shurtog visibly inflated. "You humans have a horrible sense of humor. That was prime material. You didn't even twitch a muscle. Probably too daft to even catch it. Now, never mind all that. What did you want to ask me about?" Okay, someone just jumped on. What's up, Richard Mulder?
Hello.
I feel like I've seen this guy or heard about this guy before, but he just turned his camera off. So all I've got is this weird Facebook picture that looks like the type of picture somebody uses on like a blind date folder. Like they're like, this is the best lighting I could get from 10 years ago. I feel like that's the best way to describe it. What do you think, Jeff?
I think that's pretty accurate. Richard, what do you think?
Oh, wait. We have a fake.
Your picture from?
Nope, it's gone again.
Gone again? Okay. Well, we'll just ignore him until he screams or something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or he shows up with either beer or a beard. I'll accept either one, but neither would just be shameful.
Okay. I'm almost lost for words. Were there no normal people in this bloody village? I've been named a chronicler. Richard, you think you can mute it when you're situated? named a chronicler a few days ago. I was really just looking for some instructions on, well, what that truly entails. Oh, and wait one damn minute. So that quest you sent me on a couple of days ago, was that also just one big joke? Setting me up for the whole undead or on the loose shtick? Chertog's face turned grave, and he said, I would never waste a person's time like that. There truly have been bodies going missing. Another the night before yesterday. And I still hope you'll be able to help me with that. I'm pretty damn certain that it ain't undead skeletons, though. Know how I can tell? You know, I don't think this writing actually lends itself to a Scottish accent. I'm trying, though. One side of his mouth started twitching almost.
Try a British accent.
I'll do that. I gave it some thought, but came up blank and shook my head.
Oh, I saw her, but I...
Oh, there he is. Richard, you
Are we watching like Cloverfield remake? I'm kind of worried. I mean, he's moving through here in what seems to be a rushed fashion while staring at a camera, and I'm like, what is the monster behind you?
He's like, they're here. He'll be back. How about Richard? Come back in like 15 minutes, and that's
15 minutes
from your book.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry,
Cool.
I'm having technical difficulties here. I apologize.
It's all good. It's all good. We'll see you in a bit.
Okay, thank you.
I groaned audibly. Wait. I gave it some thought, but came up blank and shook my head. Chertog's stomach started shaking while he answered, none of them would dare piss me off. You see, they don't have the guts. He bent over and started roaring with laughter. I groaned audibly, but he seemed to take that like encouragement because he collected himself and continued, nah, I'm only kidding. Skellies are never frightened. Nothing gets under their skin. I rubbed my eyes and held up my hands in defeat. Please stop already, Chertog. You're killing every funny bone in my body.
Wait a minute.
As well. What?
I feel like there was a good chance for a pun that the writer missed there. Did you hear it?
Please, let's forget this ever happened. I really need your guidance.
On the pun? I mean, it's pretty easy. I mean, like, you know, scalies, they have scales. Why would you use skin? You have like a clear dragon scale reference. Never mind.
That last part apparently caught his attention because he straightened up and wiped away a wayward tear from his eye. All right, you spoiled sport. I'll let you off easy this time. So, you're saying that for some reason you went and made a chronicler of yourself, and now you want to know what that actually means. Well, for one, it means you're dafter than daft to buy into something without looking into the consequences. I suppose there's no turning back and choosing something else. Reborn like you? He raised an eyebrow and questioned. God damn it, dude. Why must they mow right now? They were mowing all day. That last part apparently caught his attention. Oh, no, sorry. I nodded my head in confirmation and silently... It's literally my next door neighbor, too.
Do they have like a tank top on, like a wife beater and like a beer outside? And
I can't tell. I hope they better.
I mean, to be honest, I'm looking at your backyard and I don't even know if you know what mowing is.
Yeah, I do. I do. My guy just hasn't shown up yet. He's
Your guy hasn't shown up. Dude, you have like 8-month-old weeds. Like, I'm looking at those weeds and I can see them like sprouting out. I can see them through the camera. That's how bad they are. Like, at this point, you might as well just take a scorched earth approach and then just make a Zen garden and call it like a fixed project. Like, I've never seen such a bad lawn outside of like a white trash hillbilly advertisement for a trailer park. Like, get right in here, no need to work at all.
Seriously, it got this way in like a week. It's just like that over here, man.
I mean, I've lived everywhere, and that doesn't seem like any place I've ever known. Like, unless they've come up with like a miracle formula, like you guys have genetically engineered super daffodils or something. Like, I don't know how the fuck it got that bad. Like, you're basically, when somebody walks across your lawn and they ruin like 5 patches on the way, like if somebody were to drag like a bike across your lawn, it would look better.
I actually just dragged a shed across my lawn. An entire shed.
And at least when you dragged the shed across the lawn, it probably evened out the destruction that is like that awful attempt at like foreign terraforming. Like, I don't even know what's going on there. Like,
there's nothing going on.
Did you ever play StarCraft and you know that like purple creep? Your lawn has like the green version of that.
Okay. All right. Back to the damn request. Jesus.
I'm just trying to say, like, I don't know, like, what bugs are deriving superpowers from the lawn, like, what gets the extra speed boost, but that is definitely creep, and it's green, and I'm just throwing it out there.
I nodded my head in confirmation and silently.
No, take a shot, then you can continue.
All right. I nodded my head in confirmation and silently admonished myself for having done exactly what he berated me for. Acting without thinking really seems to be the major theme of the month for me. He nodded to himself, and the corner of his mouth quirked up as he continued. Ha! Well, guess I'm not the one to judge. Listen. Fucking... Just gonna wait. He's like going back and forth.
We can't hear it on this end, or at least I can't.
You can't hear it at all?
I mean, I can hear it the bit in the background, but it sounds more like your lady's trying to finish after you failed. Like, it's just a gentle hum, like, you should have done better in bed.
Well, I guess I'm not one to judge. Listen, I'll give you the short version of my experience as a chronicler, and let you judge for yourself whether you fucked up choosing this path for yourself or not. But first, certain formalities have to be observed. Follow me. He led me back to his house, a sturdy, reinforced building the size of a large shed, and walked in ahead of me, leaving me staring at the inside of the building in astonishment. While everything was clean as a whistle and looked to be made in quality materials, every available inch of the building was packed with books, scroll cases, writing materials, and other paraphernalia, the function of which I could only guess at. A pile of stone tablets stacked on a table here and a pile of animal skins there. The bookiest person in Grant's Crossing. Jeb had been right on the money there. Surprisingly, the chaos seemed to be under some sort of system, because Chertog walked straight to a pile of books and picked out one book in particular before turning back to me with a satisfied sigh. He held the book up between us and said, "This part I've always liked. You need to draw a bit of your blood. Just a drop, really. Place your hand on the journal and repeat what I say." I felt pretty clueless, but pricked the top of my finger and put my hand on top of the book, watching as it soaked up my blood. Chertog nodded to himself, lost in thought, and then intoned in a grave voice, "Nuk kadon os Thorokiananim." I struggled with the harsh dwarven intonation, but followed his lead. He then continued with alternating sentences in common and dwarfish, and I repeated the best I could. Okay, wait, is he singing here? Okay, I see. I'm not singing, I'm just repeating what he's saying. In English, I guess? Nuk kadan os dorokiananim. Enter now the path of truth. Dakarik koch is haritz. Goddess faith and fact provide. Otok at en eron chronol nos. Knowledge spread and ignorance soothe. Damar bar agnuk otok. Lest you stray far from her side. When I spoke the final words, I could feel an unfamiliar sensation, as if someone took a hold of something deep within me, clenched and pulled. Panicking, I had the time to think, swearing a blood oath in an unknown language? Clever, Danny boy, clever. Before the resulting pop-ups assuaged my fears. You have soul-bound an item. Chronicler's Journal Book. Your journal book is the repository of all true knowledge that you uncover in the world of chains. Keep it secret. Keep it safe. You have been offered a choice of religion. Serun. The path of the chronicler supports the designs of Serun, the goddess of knowledge and pathways. By choosing to walk this road, you further her designs and devote yourself to the pursuit of truth, knowledge, and delving into the unknown. Take Serun as your personal deity and become her follower. What's that?
Boring.
Except
The god of alcohol.
that was intriguing. Dude, I feel like it's getting way louder.
Yeah, it is. It's getting louder. I can definitely hear it more. And I think it's just because they fucking hate you, so they waited for you to do this. Like, this was an entirely... Wait, are they white?
Yes.
They're doing this to, like, get rid of you. Like, they're like, that fucking Asian moving in next to us.
It could be it. It could be it. Except I've been here for, like, more than 10 years, I think.
Or, you know what? They're just like, we got to teach that Asian how to maintain a yard. Like, this feels like another Clint Eastwood stereotype, like straight out of Gran Torino. Like, they're just worried you're going to steal a car in the middle of the night.
Okay, while they're gone. That was intriguing. They had introduced the worshipping of gods into the world of chains. I rather liked the idea of getting in good with the goddess of knowledge and pathways, whatever that meant. But this time, I'd better investigate a bit before I jumped right into it. I cleared my throat. So, Shurtog, that dwarven bit, what was that about? He shrugged and said, Dwarves insist that the chronicler profession originates from the dwarves. Of course, so do the humans and the elves. But what do they know, right? Thing is, for dwarves, being a chronicler isn't just a job. It's a devotion. You leave your family behind to get a new one. And that part of the ritual is about welcoming the young dwarf to his new family. And it's back. I wish he would just, like, finish this part and then go to the rest of his yard. It's what I do. It's what I did too. Was always an inquisitive kid, or nosy, as my father used to say. And when I first joined up as a chronicler, I knew that I'd ended up in the right place. Oh, sorry. This is not him. This is the dwarf still.
I'm sorry. I can't take my eyes off that set for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Like, it's just...
Oh, man.
I'm just wondering. I'm wondering where the ants are and, like, when they're gonna make their appearance during your, like, skit. Keep going, man. I'm sorry. You done? Is it done? I think you're good. I think you're good. It stopped making noise, so you should get going before he comes back.
It's what I did too. Was always an inquisitive kid, or nosy, as my father used to say. And when I first joined up as a chronicler, I knew that I'd ended up in the right place. They told me that I needed to be curious, delve into ancient history as well as present time. This I did. They told me that my curiosity should be boundless, but that the easy and quick answer was often a lie. I took it to heart. They told me that if I worked hard to better myself, gain knowledge and pursue the hidden truths of the world, I would be able to gain fame and fortune and rise among the ranks of chroniclers worldwide. And it was all true. I did gain fame, fortune, and the respect of my fellow chroniclers as I rose among their ranks. They just neglected to hand me one tiny piece of information, which I'm giving you for free. Politics beats knowledge. Every damn time. Hey, that's an interesting insight.
No, it's not.
I think it is.
Politics is built on knowledge. If you don't have knowledge of what people have done, you've got no blackmail material. It means you're terrible at politics.
Maybe. But, I mean... Shut up, Charles. My face was probably scrounging up in confusion. I had no clue what he was aiming at. Before I could say anything, however, he chuckled and continued. Yeah, I am being a bit hazy on the details, aren't I? Well, what I'm trying to say is this. Even though the main focus of a chronicler is the search for knowledge and truth, you ignore the politics of your surroundings at your own detriment. While I was rising in the ranks, I managed to make quite a few enemies. Some because they just had a really lousy sense of humor, but mostly
because I didn't really care about politics and what my unveilings might mean to my countrymen.
His mien went darker, and his animated gestures less lively as he continued.
Long story short, at one point I managed to dig up an amazing story on a venerable old merchant lord. Triple-checked the facts and my sources like I always did, but the moment I revealed it, everything went wrong. The merchant lord challenged my findings. My proof went missing, and my sources refused to talk. Before I knew what was happening, I was banished from my homelands, and the only reason I managed to maintain a bit of my honor.
At this, he was stroking his tuft of beard with an angry look on his face.
Was that I agreed to sequester myself in an obscure village completely off the map to perform a moronic task for the rest of my life, which might be a colossal waste of time, or might at some point aid the dwarven race somehow.
After this tirade, it took Shurtog a visible effort to pull himself together, and I could almost see his regular facade clicking back into place. And therefore, I wasn't surprised when he continued.
You know, it really shouldn't have come as a surprise from me. I mean, a low blow from dwarves. Practically a no-brainer, right?
This one time, I indulged him, just to cheer him up, and chuckled quietly. Really, Shurtog? Tall guy jokes about your fellow dwarves? I figured you to have higher standards. Shurtog's rough guffaw. Yeah, I know. Shurtog's rough guffaw cleared away the depressing mood that had been encroaching on us, and a corner of his mouth lifted in a half-smile.
Anyway, I guess that you also want some of the more down-to-earth information about how it all works, right? Or did I manage to scare you away?
I waved off his concerns. No, please, go ahead. I'm all ears. Another guffaw.
Yeah, I noticed.
He's a half-elf. That's why that joke works. Or doesn't work.
Is he a short kind of half-elf? Like...
No, he's like just the half-elf with ears. That's...
Are the dwarves really short? I missed that descriptive faction. Yep, are we going to be making fun of their shortcomings?
Wider than he is tall.
Wider than he is tall doesn't help me. I've seen 500-pound people before. Where do you think we live?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I started massaging my temples. That one wasn't even on purpose.
Got to go to Canada for the better stock. That's where they clone them proper.
I meant to say, please enlighten me, O wise and benevolent master chronicler. He chuckled.
Flattery. I love it. All right. Hard and practical facts. Easy to digest. As long as you keep your eyes and ears open, you will realize that you are surrounded by unsolved riddles, false history, and unsubstantiated rumors concerning everything from the pedigree of your neighbor's dog to which sheets the mayor is tangling nightly. Once you start untangling these knots, you'll also arrive at certain nuggets of knowledge, as pure as mithril ore, which you know for a fact and have proved to be true. Begin inscribing these in your journal, both the way you came to the knowledge and the information itself, and investigating the mysteries that come to you, and you will improve as a chronicler. Then,
he stopped himself and shook his head.
Sorry, my natural loquaciousness got away with me. The short and clear version. Do good chronicler work, and you'll improve as a chronicler. With experience, your skills will improve. You will gain new, useful skills, and you may even learn a few chronicler spells. This will come to you naturally, however. It can't be taught. Do good enough work. I can help you determine when you've reached that point, and you might be able to advance in rank as a chronicler if you pass the tests that you are given. Oh, and if you rise enough in rank, you risk becoming famous, or infamous. Clear enough for you?
That did sound great to me. So, not only did the profession gain me the chance to become a veritable Indiana Jones, delving into scripture on temple walls and ancient hieroglyphs and books in order to right ancient wrongs, uncover truths, and find epic loot, it also gave me the opportunity to gain extra skills along the way. I decided to jump at the chance to complete the quest I'd gained earlier at the cavern door and said, "Lovely. It's exactly what I need to get started, Shurtog. I don't mind learning by doing at all. I just have one question, and one part where I need some clarification. First, the question. Earlier, you said something about a moronic task you were forced to accept. That wouldn't have anything to do with a certain door inside the Bronze Bell's mine, would it? His eyebrows shot up, and he looked straight at me.
What? Who the hell told you that? Oh, that's right. You've been touring with Lyle, that little tattletale. Pfft. Forget about it, son. Forget about it, son. I'm not telling you anything until I figure out whether you're worth half a damn as a chronicler. Next question.
I harumphed. All right. Where does the goddess Sarun come into the picture, and what does becoming her follower entail? He waved his hands dismissively at the air.
I, along with most dwarves, don't bother with her. Who choose to worship a god of human aspect of their own free will?
He shrugged and continued.
But sure, I get the attraction. If searching for knowledge is your calling, you might as well go all the way and join the cult. Or whatever, if the followers of Sarun do. For what it's worth, I haven't heard any negative stuff about her, and I've heard tell of especially talented chroniclers who have received special attention from Sarun. No details, however. If you want some better information, you'd better keep your ears stiff.
Ugh. I get it, Shurtog. I almost preferred the skeleton jokes. Thank you very much for the information, however. I'd better get to work and ask around for anybody who knows a bit more about Sarun. Oh, I facepalmed myself. Or maybe I could just ask Mallard Bullhop for information on Sarun. He barked a soft laugh. How do you bark a soft laugh? All right, I'll try it. He barked a soft laugh. That's not soft. It's not soft.
Oh, okay, hold on. Let me try again. That's about as pathetic as a soft laugh can get.
It's not a bark either.
I mean,
Bah. How about that?
I don't know where to go with this. Like, barking a laugh just sounds weird. Like, ha, ha, ha.
Well, when you bark a laugh, it's like right? That's a barking laugh.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I kind of like imagine a dog, like, you know, and they have that like that forceful, like almost staccato laugh. Like, have you ever heard a dog laugh? It's here. Let's get your dog laughing. You've got one.
Wow, come laugh. She doesn't want to. She's busy.
Just hit it with some tummy tickles, and they always like crack up.
They do. Sorry, guys. I gotta get this fire a little bit better. Oh no, I'm out of wood. I have to break some more.
I mean, I hate to tell you this, but
actually starts mowing his backyard, I'm moving back inside. So the fire might be a moot point at this juncture.
Is it actually cold over there? Like, why do you?
No, I'm just doing it for light, for extra light. But
there's no light coming off that. I see a shadow across your face, and it's not a beard. So I'm quite disappointed.
You know what? It doesn't matter anymore.
Doesn't matter about the beard.
I'm trying to read here.
All right, get back.
Yeah, well.
Or turn us to cough, cough, shameless plug.
If you want the easy solution, I guess you could also ask the only resident expert on all things spiritual. Don't worry. If you were daft enough to keep running around asking the whole world about Sarun, I would have pointed you in his direction.
His eyes sparkled with mirth.
Eventually.
I turned around and started walking towards the door while I threw my hands in the air in frustration. You're a horrible teacher, Shurtog. He tailed me out of the building and snapped his fingers as if he'd just thought of something.
Ha! You know what's the difference between you and these good people on the ground around here?
I kept walking. Enough already, Shurtog.
One of you composes, the others decompose.
I kept walking and held my hands over my ears. That didn't stop him from shouting after me, however.
What? I'm funny? This guy was positively laughing his skull off.
As I left the cemetery, shaking my head at the severe lack of normal people in Grant's Crossing, I surprised myself by coming to the realization that I actually liked Shurtog. Sure, his humor was horrible, and he was as barmy as they come, but he seemed genuine and kind.
Stenson or purple?
What?
What type of Barney? Stenson or purple?
Barney? Did Did I say Barney? Barm.
Oh, I thought you said he was as Barney as they came, and I was like, wait, are we talking Stenson or the purple guy? Like, which Barney?
You ruined the ending of that. That was the last sentence. How dare you, sir? Okay, so that was The Wayward Bard by Lars M. Thank you guys for sitting through the lawnmower and the puns. But actually, I'm very, very pleased with how well this is written. Lars M. did a fantastic job with this, and his editor did a really good job as well. So thanks, Lars, for requesting that. By the way, if you guys are just joining in, if you didn't know, Justin Thomas James is actually going to be narrating this one for Sound Booth Theater, and he's going to be having music composed, or he's going to compose music, and he's going to actually have a violinist play it for the audiobook, because the main character is a violinist. He's a bard, right? So that's really cool. I'm very anxious for Sound Booth Theater to be known for music as well as audiobooks. So go check that out on Amazon. The link is in the description below. And yeah, pick up Lars M's The Wayward Bard. It should be coming out in the next couple months from Sound Booth Theater. So keep an eye out. We'll keep you updated.
Is Lars actually like watching this with us?
I think he is. I think he's in the chat with us.
I don't see him. Like I'm seeing like some dead space on the chat. It could just be me. It's not populating.
No, mine's dead too. I think everyone's just kind of.
I see like 8 people watching and like no one in chat. Because I wanted to ask Lars like more about this book. It seems like a really great book.
I agree. I actually wanted him to come on the show, but his family's asleep right now, so he can't really join.
That's a terrible excuse. If his family drank more, then they would be able to sleep through it, so there wouldn't be a problem. So clearly, this is a lack of alcohol problem that once again has reared its head. However, this book sounds great, and I'm just sad I don't get to ask more.
Yeah, hopefully Lars's kids are like older than 5. Because then they could start drinking, and then it'd be fine, right? So, but anyway, thanks, Lars, again, for requesting that. And our next request is from Mr. Richard M. Mulder. I see him in the chat. So, Richard, if you want to jump in on Google Hangouts with us, you absolutely can. I'm going to pull up your request from the email while I'm waiting for you to jump in. Let's see here. There it is. Now, Richard submitted his short story, DarkForce Conquest Saga Expansion 1. There he is, I think. No, that's just a double Charles.
Yeah, no, I'm here. It's just for some reason, it's picked today to just freeze the computer multiple times because screw life.
You have a clone. You have a clone on the chat with us.
Yeah, that's because Google can't figure out that the other one is not me.
There he is. Richard, what's up, man?
Oh, he's pulling a Jeff.
Hey,
He's pulling a Jeff.
it's going to be interesting. I'm driving.
Please don't die.
Yeah, dude, you shouldn't be on a phone or operating a mobile device while driving. You should be 100% focused on the road.
There we go. You'll see my steering wheel. Might see part of my face, but how's that sound?
All right. Well, at least you can talk to us. Don't look at us, though.
Yeah, don't look at us. Like,
I won't.
just try to hide yourself in the back. That is my beard.
I'm gonna get naked so that if you look at us, you will be punished.
I'm gonna get naked because I love to get naked. Like I don't need other reasons.
All right. But Richard, first, before I get started on your request, tell everybody what this request is all about.
So, Force, this is it's a sequel to Conquest. I don't know if those of you out there who remember Conquest, published it about a year ago. It's a lit RPG series. It's a mini series that this is the first of 9, and this is exclusively it'll be released in the Gamelit expansion pack, which releases on June 1st. It's available for pre-order right now. I'm in there as well as several different authors. There's 9 of us in total. There's a few names you might recognize as Brian D. Anderson. He's a New York Times bestseller. We've also got Anthea Sharp. She's the USA Today bestseller. We've got quite a number of new authors. One I want to point out, his kind of funny. His last name's Scully, so you got Mulder and Scully in the same anthology here. So that part I thought was pretty cool. So some of the other people, they're using some pen names as well. So I won't specifically point them out because I think they want to keep their pen names a secret. So be it. But yeah, we've got and Eden Red. Got to make a call out to Eden. She's there in our anthology as well.
We have yet to get a request from Eden through.
Well, I will. I'll push her on Nagger to get you to read some of her stuff. She's got. Most likely have to be part of your the what's it called? The other stream.
The Cringe Theater.
Yes, Cringe Theater. There you go.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be Cringe Theater, but I'm totally down to do it. Oh, no, wait. I did do an Eden Red request before. It had something to do with a Wraith and a big goblin-type, orc-type thing.
Most likely part of the Lewd Saga, I bet you.
I think it probably was. But we can do more lewd stuff. I like cringing while I narrate. It's a lot of fun. So how did you get this together? How did you convince all these authors that to do this with you?
Well, actually, it started back in September, to be honest. In fact, myself and 4 other authors, we coined the term gamelit as a way to kind of expand the genre of lit RPG into a little bit more involved. So there's it started with there's Dustin Tigner. We've got John. Oh my gosh, suddenly his last name space. Anyway, and Zachariah Jacrolis. The 4 of us, we were having a chat back on, I think it was September 9th, and last year we were just talking about how there's a ton of authors out there that write similar to lit RPG, but it's not hardcore lit RPG, and Conquest would fall into that. It was you've read some of it. A lot of it's based in the real world, but there's some small gaming elements here and a few in-game scenes. And anyway, so it couldn't quite classify in hardcore lit RPG. So I kind of tried to brand it as light lit RPG, but it didn't really work. And it dawned on me, you know what? This is kind of its own genre. It's its own thing. And the 4 of us chatted, and we agreed, yeah, there's a lot more to this. It's more of a apparent, all-encompassing genre. And a bunch of authors, so over the course of a month, we had about 20 more authors jump on board and realize, oh, yeah, that we want to be part of this. And it was actually one of the things that just kind of exploded near there's a lot of drama going on with the trademarking issues and stuff like that. And so, yeah, now a lot of people think gamelit's synonymous to lit RPG. It's actually technically different. It's a bit more expansive, but yeah, they're definitely related. That's for sure.
Cool. Well, okay, so everybody, if you want to check out this series of short stories, this group of short stories, all written by a ton of different authors, check out the description below this video. What is the name of the whole package again?
It's called Gamelit Expansion Pack.
Right. You'll find a link to that, and if that's up for pre-order. Let me. I'll read what.
In fact, easy link is mybook.to/gamelit.
Oh, cool! Yeah.
I'll take you right there.
Jeff, I have to point out this is the only time I've ever not felt encouraged to talk to a guest into drinking.
Yeah.
Like with him driving, I just feel like, part of my brain is like, there's a guest and it's a podcast. We have to talk him into drinking, and then I see him driving, and I'm like, I just can't do it.
Well, here's what I'll do. I'll drink for him. So
we'll each have to drink one shot for him.
Right.
So one shot for us.
I'll get pulled over. And then, yeah.
Now one shot for him.
Do it.
That could be.
Don't do it. All right, one drink. And here's his other drink.
All right, we did one
Jeff.
for you. I took it for the team.
All right, so
Perfect.
here goes. I'm gonna read the blurb that Richard sent me. Trapped in another world, the DarkForce servers come online, and gamers become convinced that the bizarre occurrences around them are actually the result of
be a malfunction. The fantasy game has now evolved into a first-person shooter. While battling each other, players must find a set of hidden stones and use their ancient power to turn them into new problems surrounding the lane. Little do they know, however, that the more they level up in the game, the more they carry out sinister work of a loathsome figure called the Leviathan. Alright, so here goes. This is Chapter 1. Oh man, you have a map and everything.
Oh, wait. I hate to ask this, man, but can I shamelessly plug the fact that War Eternus 2 is coming out this week? Am I allowed to plug that randomly?
Are you allowed to do? Maybe, I guess so.
I mean, I was going to wait for like a serious moment, but I mean, honestly.
Sorry,
like,
say again?
No, nothing. Charles is just shamelessly plugging himself in between requests.
I like to plug myself often. It's a terrible thing.
You fucker. All right, so
Hey,
this is
that's how you get sales. So.
Conquest Saga Expansion 1. It's in the Game Lit expansion pack. Go check it out on Amazon. Chapter 1, Game Reset. And Richard, if I start doing a character wrong, you just stop me.
Okay, no worries. I'm pretty flexible.
As Brittany Parker shoved her way through the fleeing crowd, she heard a loud gunshot. She stopped in her tracks and zeroed in on the sound. A lanky man wearing goggles and shooting range-styled ear protection stood nearby, aiming at the incoming horde of zombie-like creatures emerging from the ocean. He fired the heavy assault-styled Sega or Saiga 12?
I think it's Sega, but that sounds like a game.
He fired the heavy assault-styled Sega 12 shotgun again, but missed. Clearly, he wasn't using buckshot, but slugs. Instinctively, she reached for her police-issued sidearm, but her belt was missing. A brief flash of memory reminded her that she had left it on a tray inside the decommissioning room. I've got to get my hands on that shotgun! She rushed up on him from behind and kicked him behind the knees. He crumpled to the ground and she locked her arm around his neck. Police! Mara bellowed in his ear. Drop the weapon! Instead of cooperating as he had hoped, he swung the barrel towards her face. Instinct took over. Twisting hard, she snapped his neck and he crumpled to the ground. That felt way too real. The game's development was so real that she had time dispelling the thoughts of real life. He rationalized the queries he would kill in the game DarkForce. After all, how else would you explain the zombies? Alright, we're getting an echo from somebody.
Sorry, my bad. Let me turn that back off.
I was like, I've been muting myself. It ain't me this time.
Overhead. Then I realized, hey, you're getting feedback through the microphone. Never mind.
The game's The game's development was so real that she had a difficult time dispelling the thought that somehow this was real life. She rationalized that clearly she was killing the game. After all, how else would you explain the zombie? She shrugged off the disturbing thoughts and did a quick pat-down of the man's body. He didn't have any more magazines. However, a 45mm caliber Colt 1911 was also strapped to his side. She armed herself with 2 weapons and fled from the incoming horde. Checking the rounds while on the run, he made a mental note that there were 8 remaining slugs from the Sega, a full magazine of 7 rounds, and 11 of another hollow. Richard, I want to wait to mute the phone for a second.
I'm going to try to turn this up over here. What'd you say?
You got a way to mute it? Because when you're like shuffling it around, it makes noise.
Ah, gotcha. Okay, I'll just leave it right here. Okay.
Okay, cool.
The creeper camera.
Thankfully, Richard's not wearing a skirt. Okay.
Yes.
Thankfully, shamefully.
Having spoken to me in the chaotic crowds near the strange tower, it found refuge in the shoreline. Brittany couldn't believe her eyes. Cyberbolt Entertainment servers are back online. You wish to log in to DarkForce? Yes or no? For the DarkForce servers, the function that they did was very unprofessional, and she fully intended to have a long rant and Cyberbolt. And felt both and long out. Pressing firmly onto the right temple, he felt disoriented. Static.
Static then dissipated to reveal a murky darkness surrounding her on all sides. A few minutes later, a large, blinking person appeared, and Brittany rolled her eyes at night. Ridiculous. I still can't roll it out. Her HUD was malfunctioning the same way it was several hours earlier before the servers temporarily went offline. He hoped that somehow Doug had caused the reset in order to make repairs, but now she was doubtful. Drive/cyberbuild.exe. A string of coding sped past her field of vision, followed by the familiar music box-like hymn of DarkForce. After a brief moment, the game's logo disappeared and was replaced by a message. MMO/PvP. She wasn't sure how to get back to Doug's virtual cabin, but she remembered that they had originally met each other the other day while playing in player versus player mode. Now that the servers are back online, maybe he'll be playing PvP again? It was a strange thought, but definitely worth investigating. After selecting PvP, a chime sounded and the wisps of darkness swirled around her. Now clad in metal armor, an invisible force field protected her exposed chest. Now that's more like it. To her disappointment, however...
Exposed chests are more like it.
I like it. To her disappointment, however, no opponent stood to challenge her. A new screen then popped up. Our system detects that there are no challengers available at this time. Do you wish to fight an NPC? Yes or no? Brittany shrugged and selected yes. A toggle screen appeared with pictures of non-player characters and their listed skills. As she scrolled through the potential candidates, she was confused by the fact that all of the opponents that supposedly best matched her own skills were level 1 characters. A disturbing thought crossed her mind. She toggled the screen to her own player stats. What the hell? She screamed in outrage. Level 1? 0 XP? She was fuming. It had taken her over 1,000 hours of playtime to achieve the minimum 14,000 XP to achieve level 18. The last time she had checked her character sheet, she was just over 500 XP away from meeting the 17,000 XP threshold required to reach level 19. While she scrolled through the NPC options, she did a double take and recognized Doug's avatar. She clicked on the profile for @Andrex and confirmed her suspicion. But he somehow seemed to have lost a significant amount of his XP. He was at a lower level than the last time she had seen his character sheet. Brittany shook her head in disbelief. Doug is just an NPC? He can't be! He was really staring to gain an attraction. He was really starting to gain an attraction, despite his pernicious nature. This was a new blow for Brittany's self-esteem. Had she really fallen for a computer program? One way to find out for sure. Do you wish to choose this opponent? Yes or no? Brittany chose yes. Across the clearing, a gust of wind swirled, and in a brilliant flash, Doug's avatar. Unlike their last one, he was brandishing a spiked club. His armor wasn't quite as impressive. Doug? There was no answer. And then a new system message appeared. Please choose a weapon from your inventory. She quickly toggled to her inventory screen, and her jaw dropped. It was empty. What? Where's my flaming broadsword? My mace? My potions? My battle axe? Brittany was fuming. Clearly, someone had hacked into her avatar while she was offline and stolen her entire inventory. A disturbing thought then crossed her mind. There was only one person she knew who had the capability to pull off something. Her eyes narrowed at her opponent. You! Doug's avatar stood at the ready with a mischievous look on his face. Where are my weapons? She demanded. And my gear? What'd you do with it? A new system message popped up. Would you like to browse the DarkForce e-store for suitable weaponry? Yes or no? Brittany rolled her eyes. It always frustrated her to no end. Had to spend RL inside the game. But she was left with little choice. Grudgingly, she selected yes. 1 second, I gotta check our chat. I come into the creeper camera, so Voodoo Cat says.
Yep.
Oh, it looks like we got joined. I think KT Hanna's here. Hi. All right, she's waiting in the background for her read. So, thanks for coming. We'll see you soon. All right. The e-store loaded, and only 2 weapons were available to select. One of her eyebrows raised in confusion as she read at the stats. 45 Colt 1911, 7 rounds with 1 hollow point in the chamber. Assault-styled Sega 12 shotgun, 2 rounds expended, 8 rounds available in the magazine. Since when did DarkForce become a first-person shooter game? It didn't make any sense. DarkForce was a game in a fantasy setting. Standard weaponry choices were usually swords or battle axes infused with magical properties. What was even more confusing was the fact that the weapons were the exact same calibers that she had recovered from the man's body on the beach. Instinctively, her hand went to her waist where she could feel the sidearm resting in its holster. Likewise, she could feel the strap of the Sega resting on her shoulder. It was a strange sensation when she looked down, for she couldn't see them while logged into the DarkForce server. With a shrug, Brittany chose to purchase both since they were free. Error. DarkForce servers detect an unfair advantage in your choices of weaponry. Your PvP match has been forfeited, and you will receive a penalty of -20 XP. You've got to be kidding me! She screamed aloud in frustration and gritted her teeth. You'll pay for this, Doug! Error. You do not have sufficient XP to receive a penalty. You will hereby forfeit your next 20 XP earned. This sucks. She wished more than anything that she could wipe that childish smirk off his smug face. His refusal to respond was quite telling. With a heavy sigh of annoyance, she switched to MMO mode and watched Doug's avatar disappear in a wisp of darkness. Chapter 2. The Clearing. Okay, so that was a very short chapter. I think that was like maybe 1,500 words. So I think the rest of this chapter.
Not even a chapter.
Yeah,
it's more like a prologue.
Yeah.
Like, to be fair, I think, what is it? The standard chapter size for most novels is 2,000 for web novels and 10,000 for like print these days. At least that's what I've been seeing. I know that most of the web novels I read use the standard 2,000 words as the base.
Yeah, what's your standard?
This is technically a novella. So
I have a very small standard. I have like 40 words per chapter.
Your chapters like an audio or at least 20 minutes long each.
I think we have in War Eternus 2, we've got several chapters that hit about 13,000 words.
Wah!
There's only 12 of them though, so you should be okay.
12, 13,000 words ones?
No, there's only 12 chapters. They range between 10 and 13,000 words.
Okay, so the 13,000 words ones are the small chapters. Is that what you're saying?
The 13,000 word ones only happen like 4 or 5 times out of the
Okay. That's awesome. Thank you.
You know, like right about that scene where we kill off Pocahontas.
Oh, that sounds hot. Okay.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I base mine primarily off of scenes, and a lot of the scene, depending on the chapter, some scenes are shorter, some are longer. I actually use the same methodology for Conquest. Conquest has 53 chapters, but some of them are really super short, others are significantly longer. So it really depends on what's happening in that scene.
Richard Haygood says, feel like this is the next set of Jumanji. Dude, seriously, it's bad, and I don't know why the guy's taking forever to come on my lawn. Okay.
I gotta be honest, it's not that large a lawn.
It's really not. It would take.
Like, no. I mean, seriously, like you could get a push mower and like try exercising for the first time in your life with the lawn. It'll take you 10 minutes. It'll be like the Bowflex. And
are you talking about the NPC guy driving?
Not happening. Okay, I've mowed too many lawns in my life.
Really?
I'm not about to mow my own.
I've mowed other people's lawns, but I won't mow my own. Yeah.
All right, chapter 2, the clearing. In a flash of light, Brittany found herself back in MMO mode of DarkForce. An alert popped up in her augmented vision. DarkForce servers detect a shortage in your armory inventory. Would you like to begin a weapons quest? Yes or no? Brittany sighed. It seemed there really wasn't much choice, so she selected yes. A virtual map suddenly appeared in her augmented field of vision. She could see the entire layout of DarkForce, and a zoomed-in map identified her location with directions to what appeared to be a nearby city called Sariel. Map. Oh, wait. Here we go. Here's the map. Pretty cool, huh? I love it.
Yeah, that's a zoomed-in piece.
I love it when people make maps for books. So Tolkien. Considering the placement of the city on the map, acutely aware that only hours earlier she had seen a strange plume of smoke rise into the atmosphere from that direction. Had she not known better, she would have thought it was a jet or a rocket. But that seemed highly unlikely inside this fantasy setting. But then again, guns were rather out of place too. How odd. The game had certainly taken on some strange new characteristics. In fact, in the corner of her augmented screen, she could see that her class had also changed from warrior to ballistics expert. Upon purchasing the virtual versions of her recently acquired weapons, she could now see the Sega in her hand and the 1911 holstered to a belt that was wrapped around her waist. It looked rather odd and clashed with her armor. She felt silly and wanted nothing more than to find some standard medieval weaponry as soon as possible to replace the awkward belt. What?
The what in her hand? Like a? Did you say the Sega?
Sega 12. It's a type of shotgun.
It's not the Sega Genesis.
No, SAIA.
It's a shotgun that it's got automatic release, so it kind of looks like a machine gun, only it's a shotgun. Kind of neat.
Okay. Glancing back at the map again, a looming icon in the top left corner of the screen caught her eye. And all the many times she had studied the map, never before had it identified the location of the legendary Tower of Babel. Her most recent quest had bequeathed the secret location to her, and she had only been seconds away from claiming a legendary class when the server malfunctioned and whisked her away to a faraway beach on the southern continent of Zion. Of all the places she could have respawned, the southwestern shoreline was about as far away from her desired destination as she could get. Staring at the icon, she grinned mischievously. Maybe I can still get there before Doug can claim my legendary class. No, sorry. Maybe I can still get there before Doug can claim my legendary class. Reaching her palm up, she pressed on the icon. Instead of being transported, however, an error buzz sounded, followed by the brief flash of a red X on the icon. She tried again and got the same error. Raising an eyebrow in consternation, she pressed on the icon of the nearly tribal camp of Naphtali instead. The same error occurred. What's going on here? Error. Transport portals are offline. Please try again. Brittany cursed under her breath and stared out at the path that lay before her. I guess I better start walking. A few minutes later, she reached some rocky hills where several NPCs were gathered. From her HUD, she could see their stats, and all of the potential targets were easy kills. It didn't appear that any of them were carrying weapons, so at a meager reward of only 5 XP each, she'd have to kill at least 4 of them to satisfy the PvP penalty and another 6 of them to level up. She cringed at the thought, knowing her total arsenal contained only 16 rounds of ammo. I need my broadsword back. Toggling her screen, she confirmed that her martial arts skill set was still intact. At least I've got a fallback. I'm not wasting my bullets on these losers. Brittany strode cautiously forward, being extremely careful not to make her presence known. It was common knowledge that lower-level NPCs like these would often scatter like rabbits upon seeing or hearing an approaching player. Suddenly, a spray of bullets filled the air and Brittany dove for cover. Peeking over the edge of a rock, all of the NPCs she had just seen were now dead. A lone man carrying an AK-47 walked smugly into the clearing toward the bodies. Sweet! A worthy opponent. The man was no match for her prowess. She pulled the 1911 from its holster and aimed. Despite the distance, in an instant, she took him down with a single shot to the forehead.
Difficult kill. Plus 15 XP.
Sorry.
Plus 15 XP.
Brittany smirked, but didn't venture out into the clearing yet.
Minus 15 XP penalty tax.
She hovered there for several minutes, and as she anticipated, another player entered the clearing. Scavenger. She aimed carefully and took him down with a shot through the back of his head.
Medium kill. Plus 10 XP.
A medium-level opponent. Figures.
Minus 5 XP penalty tax.
Well, at least I'm out of the penalty box. Brittany waved several more Brittany waited several more minutes to ensure there weren't any more stragglers, and then cautiously entered the clearing. Stooping down over the bodies, she admired her new loot. AK-47, 22 rounds expended, 8 rounds remaining in the loaded magazine, 30 rounds per magazine, 6 spare magazines. Her first fallen opponent was wearing a utility jacket with 6 extra magazines in the pockets. The magazine clipped to the gun was fully expended, so she chucked it aside and loaded a new one. The man didn't have any other weapons on his body, but she found a wallet in his pocket, which seemed extremely out of place. Is this RL? She shook the absurd thought out of her head and began rummaging through her other opponent's pockets. She found a small folding hunting knife, and he too was carrying a wallet. Hunting knife, serrated blade, instant kill when twisted inside a chest. What the hell is going on here? A sneaking suspicion entered her mind that somehow the NPCs she saw earlier might have been actual people, and the thought made her stomach turn sour. It can't be. Just then, her thoughts were interrupted with the flash of a giant shadow. Squinting in the sunlight from the 2 blazing solar giants, her status bar quickly recognized the massive flying creature as a level 12 medieval-style dragon. It's just a game, she scolded herself. With a deep sigh of relief, she grabbed her loot and took off at a dead run. The last thing she needed was a battle against a creature well above her skill level. But then again, she'd likely get some serious kill points off of the beast. What's the worst thing that could happen anyway? Brittany weighed out the options in her mind. Really, her only risk would be that she'd lose the meager 5 kill points she'd recently gained and would respawn back at the tower by the beach. Oh, what the hell? She shrugged as she crouched behind a boulder. Why not? The ground shook as the massive beast made a landing. It quickly went to work shredding the fallen bodies of the NPCs with its razor-sharp teeth. No, Lau. That is rude. I have a show happening. She knew the Sega
It's
would
just crazy, man.
Sagan?
How's your dog?
Crazy.
Yeah, she just had a little outburst here.
That was awesome.
She knew the Sega would be her best weapon at taking the beast down, but it'd have to be at a close range. Worse yet, she'd have to be facing the dragon and aiming for its chest. Brittany took a deep breath and quietly entered the clearing again. The beast's back was to her as it ravenously feasted on the fallen victims. She creeped ever closer with the shotgun shouldered. She knew she'd likely have to expel all 8 of the slugs in rapid succession, but the kill would be totally worth it. She was almost in position when the beast suddenly stopped eating and raised its head into the air. It sniffed twice, and then turned its menacing head toward her. The eyes locked. Fresh blood dripped from its scaly chin, and its eyes were stained and red. Its massive jaws opened wide, and the roar was deafening. Brittany reacted quickly and dove to the left as the whip of its tail barely missed her. She regained her stance and fired off the first 2 rounds. Both slugs penetrated, but only served to piss off the beast. It roared again vehemently and slashed an arm toward her with its mighty talons.
Ducking for cover again, she rolled out of the way and quickly repositioned herself. She shot off 3 more rounds, and the dragon staggered backward. Keeping a close eye on her prey's life bar, she did a mental calculation and realized that the 8 slugs would be insufficient to take down the beast. She shot off the last 3 rounds and swung the expelled shotgun over her shoulder. 26%. Brittany unholstered the 1911 and charged at the beast. It reared forward, and she took careful aim. As its gaping jaws came crashing down at her, the dragon's left eye suddenly exploded, while 3 hollow points ricocheted through the beast's skull. She jumped out of the way just in time as the massive body crashed into the ground.
Easy kill. Plus 150 XP.
That was an easy kill? Brittany beamed. Had the opponent been a level 1 creature, the maximum kill points she could gain would have only been plus 15 XP.
Level up!
A wisp of darkness swirled at her feet, and a chime sounded from the sky.
Level up!
Another chime sounded as her character quickly ascended to level 3. Congratulations! You have subdued a level 12 opponent. In addition to your gained XP, for your bravery and prowess, you will be rewarded with the following skills. Plus 5 strength, plus 1 stamina, plus 1 wisdom. And that's the request. So thank you, Richard M. Mulder, for requesting that little second Conquest Saga expansion. Now, how much more of that is actual package?
How much more is it? Sorry, I just had a dead spot. What?
Okay, so that was just chapter 1 and chapter 2. Is there any more in the short story that you put into the big package there?
Yes, absolutely. So there's, I believe it's 10 chapters in total, 10 or 11. I'm finishing up the last part of the scene before I spin it off to the editor. But anyway, there's a lot more to it. That's just kind of the opening.
Awesome. Okay, so that's just the opening of Richard's little bit. There's more chapters. I don't know. What do you think? 10,000 words? 15,000? For yours?
It's currently at 13,500. My goal is to hit just over 15.
Okay. Let's see. We also have The Runner by Brian D. Anderson. Trinket, A Phalan Tale by Anthea Sharp. Less Than Zero by Terry Spider. A Dungeon's Desire by Eden Red. Power of Necros by A.E. Scully. Seraphim Level 0 by Dimitri G. Knight. Why No One Likes You, Hate, Level, and Cryptocurrencies by Stan Farina. And Pre-Screening Test by James Wyman. Those are all in the Gamelit expansion pack on Amazon. So right now it's on pre-order, and it's supposed to release on June, what was it?
Yeah, it's only 99 cents currently.
June, yeah, and it's only 99 cents for pre-order. So grab that, and it comes out on June 1st. I'm sure lots of great stories on there. So again, Richard, thank you so much for requesting. It's been a long time.
Absolutely.
I read one of your things off for Sound Booth Theater Live, so it's good to see you again. And
one thing I wanted to point out, kind of fun little trivia there. So Brian D. Anderson's story that's included in there, The Runner, Audible. He'll be releasing it separately on Audible in probably about 4 or 5 months. But Audible offered him $15,000 for that short story.
Wow! Holy shit!
Yeah.
Wow! Why didn't Audible offer me $15,000 for an audio anything?
I know, seriously. I was just like,
all right.
Mine.
So you guys, there's something special about this Gamelit expansion pack. So go check it out. It's in the link of the descriptions below. In the description below. And what was the quick link that you had again?
What was the, sorry?
Oh, I see. mybook.to/Gamelit. You'll be able to find it there as well. So, Richard, thanks so much for coming and hanging out with us and not dying on the road.
Thanks for having me on the show. I'm going to flip over to YouTube now.
Okay, cool. And we'll see you again later. Hey, T. Hanna.
Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. And you're in Austin, right?
I'm from Australia, but I live in Kansas.
You live in Kansas. Where in Kansas?
Wichita. Well, just yeah, like 2 minutes outside of Wichita. What?
She lives next door to you, Jeff.
Not quite.
She's actually been mowing the lawn for the last hour.
It's like 2 hours from Kansas City, right?
Yeah, about that. 2.5.
So why did you choose Wichita over Kansas City?
I met my husband in EverQuest 2 back in 2005 and moved to Wichita to marry him in 2007.
Oh.
And you got him to mow the lawn right next to Jeff?
Yes. I sent him up a couple of hours ago. I was like, dude, okay, you got to do this. So, yeah.
I need help. my lawnmower guy, I don't know, he's probably like on meth or something. And you know, Independence, Missouri is the meth capital of the world. You guys know that?
That doesn't surprise me.
Oh, well, I hate to tell you this, Jeff, but we have the most opioids up here in Ohio, so just throwing that out there.
That's so not as exciting as meth.
No, it's not.
But I feel like opioids are a funner drug to have known for because it's like they're the upcoming one. They're like the headlines of the news. There's opioid crisis, and I get to be like, I see that my state is being known for something.
Yeah, but we get lots of explosions because meth labs are known to explode. So a little more action there.
You're just riding the Breaking Bad wave, and it's going to end eventually. You just need to
probably end really badly.
You know what? You guys need to embrace the real drug. It's called alcohol. It's wonderful. It's a great drug, and I highly recommend that everyone have a drink with me. Which means why don't you have a drink, Katie?
Oh, that's a good point.
I have a drink. It's called water.
I'm sorry. Is that some sort of like foreign word? Is that like an Australian word for something?
It is, apparently. Yeah, it's clear stuff. It
like everything.
Yeah, kind of.
It's like 90% alcohol.
Except, it's not going to kill me, so that's a good thing.
You know what? You're saying that now, but I knew a guy who used to drink that foreign beverage out in Flint, and he's dead. So you need to reconsider.
All right, so one more thing before we get to your book.
Oh, okay.
How are you liking Wichita?
How do I like it? I love it.
You've been there for more than a decade now.
Yeah, I've been here for 11 years.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 2.5. I come from a city with 2.5 million people where the public transport was fantastic, and I came over here and I said to my husband, no, I'll just take the bus. He's like, oh, no, you won't. And I'm like, yeah, well, I don't need to get my license. I'd never had my license. I'm like, I don't need to get my license. And then, so I'm like sitting there, and I think I was here for like 3 weeks, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to have to get that license. Because we live in Andover, which is like literally just kind of, there's one street, Wichita, and then the other side is Andover. And there's even fewer buses here. Like there are none here. So so no, I don't just catch a bus in Wichita. So
I hate to tell you this, but it doesn't matter what the population of your city is. We suffer from what I like to call no public transportation at all.
Pretty much here anyway.
Cars have become less of a thing about freedom and more of this like chain of necessity and a bill that's generally half a person's rent. I'm not even kidding you. Like if a person pays $1,000 for rent a month, they probably have a $500 a month
at least
bill for their car and gas, and it's just like, come on.
Yeah, no. So I ended up having to get my license because I was very wrong, and so I don't know. I live here now, and it's much more laid back. People are really easygoing, and it's not as stressed, and it's kind of I like it. They're nice people for the most part.
Imagine all those things about people, except there's a city like real close. That's what Kansas City's like. You guys should come over here.
I've been to Kansas City. I like Kansas City, but I live in Wichita because my husband's family owns a business, so it didn't make any sense for him to come and live in Australia. And despite the fact that we hired a lawyer and it took 6 months to get our paperwork through, and it was a big pain in the butt to you get tested for syphilis and tuberculosis, just so you know. It's lots of fun.
Are those things only foreigners get?
I don't know, but the syphilis test comes back and it's like this person either does not have syphilis or is in such an early stage that it's not detectable. And you're like, oh, great. So is that a no?
So I probably don't have syphilis.
So I probably don't have syphilis. That's good.
Oh,
So,
hold on, though. You've got to ask yourself serious questions with syphilis. Do you feel happy randomly? Have you suffered from chronic bouts of happiness and or have things tasted better? Has your life improved randomly? Do you feel like you understand what's going on with American television?
Nobody understands what's going on with American television.
Onset syphilis.
Yeah, so we had you had to get all these tests done, and it was still easier than him moving to Australia because we had to live together for 2 years, and we're like, but we met in a computer game. Like, that's not possible, dude. What the fuck? Sorry.
You could have had like a little EverQuest house, you know, like we've.
Hey, I had an EverQuest 2 house, I even had the frickin' dragon. So.
Oh,
the little baby dragon that I could put in my house. So that was awesome.
I've got to ask this. Like, I've known this is a thing with gamers, and maybe I'm like the one gamer who just doesn't get this. But what the fuck is up with dragons?
I love dragons. I've always.
What do dragons have? It's like it's a lizard. It's like an iguana, but big and with wings.
Well, I mean, I have a pet snake, so I love snaky, slithery, winged things, I guess. So I was born in the year of the dragon as well, so that makes me like them even more.
Speaking of snake,
I have a snake. Yes.
You do?
Yes.
I've got one too, but it's not a pet.
Oh, are you sure?
Mine is.
Would your wife agree with that?
My wife likes to see it dance. I'm a snake charmer. Yeah, I make it stand up and dance.
Oh.
No, I actually have a ball python.
So do I.
Speaking of ball pythons, I have a confession to make. This is the worst I've ever done in my life.
Don't pull it out. Please don't pull your stuff out on the camera.
I'm not going to.
Lasher.
Okay, so a long time ago, I had a girlfriend. I know that's a shame.
Was that?
That was a long time ago.
Is it like the only time this has happened? Like, did 2 women fall victim or just one?
Just one. Okay. So at one point she told me, I think it would be cool to have a snake. So I got her a snake. Okay. Then she moved away and we had this long-term relationship thing going on, and I was taking care of her pet snake. One day I had it out. I was hanging out with it. My buddies were over. We got really, really high. And I forgot to put it back in the cage.
Oh, no.
Is this why you broke up?
And I think my dog ate it.
Is this why you broke up with your girlfriend?
No, it took, another like 2 years after this. So I must have done something right before this happened. But yeah, I think I accidentally murdered a snake.
Did you?
I got too high.
Well, I mean, they live like
Jeff,
20 to 30 years otherwise, so.
I need to explore this for a minute, Jeff. I've got a serious question for you. Do you think meth had anything to do with it?
No, because I've never done that.
No, I mean, did she do meth?
No, she never did. No. What? Okay, wait. I can't say for sure that she never did meth, but meth had nothing to do with any of the decisions that led to me being the caretaker of the snake and failing miserably. So
I was more wondering about the dating situation. Like,
now that is a different question that I can't answer. I don't really know. And it wouldn't really be in my interest to answer it, even if I did know. So anyway, KT Hanna.
Was she capable of cutting the grass?
Okay. Are you okay? We're going to move on to the next topic.
I was just wondering if like your ex-girlfriend could cut the grass.
No, because she's in New York, probably.
No, I mean, I'm just wondering if she had that skill. Like, if that was
no,
her assets.
No. Definitely not. Definitely not. She came from a rich family, so.
Never shaved. Okay.
Yeah. Never shaved? Okay, I'm gonna stop here. Okay. KT Hanna, is there a first name that you would prefer to be called, or should we just be calling you KT? What do you? How do you
My
want?
name's Katie. So yeah.
Okay, we'll call you Katie. Tell us about this request. Tell us about your new Somnia online series.
Okay, so it's I always played enchanters. I always played in EverQuest 1. I played enchanter. When I met my husband, I was a coercer. And they keep taking the bloody class out of games. They don't have mind control classes in the games, and it pisses me off because I love them. So I binged. My husband's been reading this genre for over a year. Probably like 18 months, and he kept wanting me to read books, and so he even bought me like Awaken Online. He bought like the hard copy for me, and I'm like, I'll read it eventually, you know. And so in January I was like, oh, I'm so bored, so I picked up the book. Actually, I picked up Ready Player One first, read 10 pages, didn't like it, picked up Awaken Online, couldn't put it down, read 1, the side story, 2, read all of Ascend, read all of Live to Play. 10, I read very fast. So I read it in like 10 days. I read like 12 books. And I went, oh my God, this is like the genre. Like, how did I not listen to him? How did I not know that this was the genre I would love? And then I was like, oh, I need to write a story about an enchanter. So I did. And that's this one. And fun fact.
You have other stuff before that, don't you?
What? Oh, yeah. I've got a science fiction trilogy out that I released in 2015, 2016. And then we had like, you know how you have crap life sometimes? Like my entire family seemingly got diagnosed with cancer. Oh. One of my best friends lost her little girl to cancer. Like it was a shit 2 years. Oh. So I didn't write much. I didn't promote anything. And then when I read this, I was already going to publish some books this year that I've got that need a bit of editing before I put them out. And I wrote in 14 days, I wrote the first book, and it's been edited 6 times since. I've written the second book, and it's out at beta readers right now. And I'm halfway through the third book because I can't stop. It's like, instead of obsessing about my computer games, because I really do, and I've got to be the best, and I've got to play the most. But then I do nothing else. So, like literally do nothing else. So instead of that, I'm doing nothing else but writing. But it's like you're playing a game. See? So
well, it's like you're designing your own video.
Yes.
And I think that's what authors in this genre love so much about it, because most of them are gamers. Right, and so they all of us have our ideal video game in mind.
You need to make that past tense. Most of us were gamers.
Yeah, look at this. Okay, wait a second. My husband sits there at night with his double frickin' screens playing fucking MMOs while I'm writing, and I'm going, you don't want to log in. You don't want to log in. You don't want to log in. Okay, so that's like
Is it not really hard? Right, like, Katie, have you not just been sitting there for like night after night? Like, you know what? I could be productive. I could also play a video game. And I mean, yes. I'm not like your husband or anything. I stick with a single screen, a single mouse, a single keyboard, nothing fancy. I don't know all these new upstarts, and they're I gotta watch TV while I'm playing. Like, nah, taking your eyes off.
When I finished drafting book 2, I gave myself a week to play Fallout 4 because I'd never finished it. And so now I'm like, okay, when I finish drafting book 3, I get a week to play Fallout 4 again.
Have you considered StarCraft 2?
I have not yet played StarCraft 2 recently. So you can't do that because it's online, and if you play an online game, if I do that, I'm screwed, because then I'm like, well, this person's relying on me, well, this person needs me, well, I've got to help these guys out.
No, you don't. StarCraft 2 it's an isolated instance. It's like a MOBA where each game is its own thing. When you're playing it, you can play it for like 15 minutes and then just be done. No one's going to count on you afterward. In fact, if you play StarCraft, you will burn out because it requires like 200 to 400 APM to like once you get up to the upper leagues. So you're just sitting there and you get mentally burnt out playing the game.
No, I can't. Don't do that. Don't do that.
No,
don't do that.
I will point out something fun. Here's a fun fact about StarCraft that people don't know, is that the first attempt to really do neural networking AI into like video games, like they started with the Smash or the Donkey Kong and stuff back in like the 1980s and stuff, and they were trying to get the computers that could play the games for you. Well, they've been working on StarCraft for 20 years, and this is like StarCraft 1, and now they're also adding StarCraft 2.
I love StarCraft 1.
2017, the all 4 of the top AI systems they could come up with were trounced wholeheartedly by players, which is to say that the complexity is so much that even after 20 years of perfecting and running hundreds and thousands of simulations, AIs are still not up to like just a standard human play. And that to me is pretty amazing when your game is that complex, that 20 freaking years of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of like people working on these teams and they still can't get one.
Yeah. Well, my book's set way in the future, so.
I see how it is.
I like way in the future books, so.
What do phones look like in your book?
Oh, they don't.
What about no phones?
No, well, I mean, they have like an interface and what's it called? Augmented reality interface, which is how they kind of access everything, including phones.
So they've got no like little scrolly phone to like sit down on the toilet with, like while they're taking a poop.
Well, I mean, they can scroll through it with their minds that are connected.
Touch their eyes and like, who's gonna do this? Like, this sounds like the Google Glass failure all over again. Look at this, people.
When you're on the toilet in this world, when you're on the toilet and you want to play like, 2048 or whatever, this is what you look like when you're on the toilet.
Yes.
Right? So instead of looking at a screen, like,
yeah, you're just like,
I don't care where they throw the screen. Every single time people have a device, it's always going to be like this, because people like to look down. They want their view to match their perspective of life, straight down.
I think that's all got to do with the weight of the device in your hands and leaning back. Like, you want your back to be straight when you're taking a dump. So,
do you want your back to be straight when you're taking a dump? I feel like, first off, this is a great point for me to say it's time for me to wrap it up and go drink with some other people. Some people that aren't going to be talking about taking a dump with a straight back. And second off, I feel like you are like essentially an advertisement for that pooping unicorn.
I actually did get one of those things, and it didn't help me at all.
I mean, I looked at one of those things, and I was like, who's going to pay $600 for or however much they were charging just for what looked like a plastic stick-up? Like, you could have just stacked up AOL CDs instead for free.
Stacked up AOL CDs.
It would have been just as worthless, just as shitty, and you wouldn't have cared how bad an AOL CD smelled afterwards. You'd be like, you've got mail.
Yeah.
Anyway, you guys take it easy. I got to go get drinking, and the wife showed up like an hour and a half ago, so I know she's going to be grumpy at me.
Okay.
Bye, Charles.
Charles.
Okay, nice meeting you, Katie.
Nice to meet you.
Have a good one.
You too.
All right, Katie, so let's talk about this this particular scene that you've sent me.
Okay, funny story. Danny asked me for this scene about almost 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent it to him and it didn't go up and it didn't go up. And Richard kept going to me, when's your scene going up? When's your scene? I'm like, I'll leave it. It's okay. And then Richard was like, have you asked him yet? And I'm like, oh, fine. And so I sent, and Danny's like, oh, I'm sorry. So he put it up. So.
Yeah, like, definitely need to remind Danny once in a while. He is a busy man. And he manages my Facebook page from the kindness of his heart. So,
well, he's lovely, and he apologized, and I was like, "It's okay, really. I was just curious because my book comes out next week. It releases, so
just give him a little poke once in a while, and he'll be fine." But okay, so this
I think
chapter 15.
Okay, I think it's a scene where they're exploring a dungeon they've just found, and they go in to it, and they're basically trying to level, because, like I said, I'm a big fan of EverQuest, and EverQuest 2 in its inception, not now, and it always took a lot to level in those games. Like, you didn't, and originally quests in like EverQuest 1 were like triggered. Like, you'd go up to this guy in the High Elf City, and you'd go type something male, and then that would trigger him with a quest. So he would be triggered, and he'd give you another keyword, and you'd have to figure out how to ask the questions to trigger the keywords to give you the quest. There were no little, question marks above the head. You had to find the characters and figure stuff out. And so in this game, that's what happens. It's like you get suggestions. There are no boxes to click, because I kind of thought in 60 years, if we're fully immersed, then we're not going to have little boxes in front of our faces to click. So
will there at least be a paper clip with eyes?
I know, right? That'd be cool. They're looking for somewhere to level, and they find an island that has a castle that is what do you call it, ruined, and there's lots of mobs there, and so they've gone in, and they and they're fighting down into the dungeons. So that's kind of it. And that castle, the ruin, is the castle that's on the cover. Is the castle that's on the cover, and each cover it's going to get progressively not ruined. It'll be restored. So, and that's my map.
I'm sorry. I'm coughing so much. I think I inhaled a dandelion seed or something. Okay, let's take a quick look at your cover here, because I think I have to do a screen share for that. So please stick with us. Okay.
That's awesome.
Initializing. That's the name of the first book is Initializing. Yep. Somnia Online is the series.
Yeah.
By KT Hanna.
Yay!
All right. So let's get this started here. I'm going to read off some of your character descriptions.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
Right.
I sent them just for you.
Oh really?
Yeah. I know. He said if I had any direction. He said if I had any direction, so I was like, oh, okay. So.
Okay. Do you want me to not read them? I can not read them if you want.
Oh, I don't mind. Myself. I don't mind. It's up to you.
Okay. All right. Murmur. I'm assuming F means female.
Yes.
Okay. Is a calmly serious yet sarcastic, soon-to-be college student, highly intelligent. Okay. Sinister, also female, usually hyperactive, except when it's very serious. Okay. Devilish, the big brother type. Havoc, quiet, contemplative, and very observant. Merlin, fun, usually their puller, only ever really serious when in combat. Beastly. Beastly's his name.
Actually, it's Bestial, and I totally forgot.
Oh, Bestial. Brother has a bit of a crush on Sinister. Okay.
Yeah.
Can be protective and yet sometimes egotistical. Okay. Not sure if you want to personalize the guild chat voices, but here they are. No, we'll just do regular narration for the guild chat.
Cool.
You're talking about like text stuff. Right?
Yeah. It's like because they, talk to each other over the guild. It'd be a real mess if it was like all vocal. Like, wouldn't that be weird if you had like 8 voices speaking to you at once?
I mean, when I do chat stuff in lit RPGs or game lits, do you consider this one a lit RPG?
I think so. It has a fair amount of stats through it, but not like to the extent of Ascend Online or Awaken Online. But it has a good chunk of stats through it. So
okay, there's a good chance that this one's a lit RPG, folks.
I think. She levels up. She gets, increases in her HP, mana, in her especially charisma, because she's an enchanter. I love enchanters, in case I didn't say that 5 times already. So.
Okay. All right, so we're starting off on this scene that she sent. Chapter 15, Globuled. This is...
Oh, I like this one. Okay, sorry.
Oh, yeah. This is Somnia Online. I'm sorry, the Initializing by KT Hanna. One more drink.
I'm going to mute myself.
Here goes. Chapter 15. Globuled. Murmur couldn't move. Her brain panicked. All she could do was cast out her thought-sensing net and hope for the best. But the brute wasn't coherent. Its mind was a jumble of nothing, of images and words she didn't understand, even as they fled through her visions and passed through her mind. "It's insane," she whispered as soon as the sun dropped. "I have no idea what it's going to do." Dev grunted and spurred himself into a run that went so fast Murmur couldn't follow him with her eyes. 1 minute he was next to her, and the next he was smashing his axe into the stomach of the brute, whose health only ticked down a fraction. Dev is devilish, the big brother type, okay. "Its skin is tougher than armor!" But Murmur was already on it. Suffocation to lessen its defense, weaken to sap some of its strength, followed by languidity to steal some of its speed, as well as nullify in the hopes that it would help somehow. Her pet set to attack, she soothed it first, noticing the brute winding up to some ability, and cast her instant stun. Careful, guys. Might need to rotate stuns on him. If he gets us with another of his stuns, I think we're screwed. He'll know who to hit first now." Havoc glanced at her, and she could see the frown on his face as it dragged her mood down. Havoc, quiet, contemplative, and very observant. Okay. "How did you do that?" Not taking her eyes off the mob, keeping an eye on its health, she answered, half paying attention. "Do what?" "Debuff, dot, and stun him in such quick succession." Havoc was watching her closely. She could feel and sense it. Not only feel his eyes on her, but his mind as it tried to make sense of her abilities. She couldn't actually hear his thoughts, just sort of the flow of them. Everything under control for the moment, she turned to him and raised an eyebrow. "I cast my spells." "Smartass," he glared at her. "You know what I mean." She shrugged. "Not really. This mental acuity thing keeps doing lots of stuff before I realize it. Probably just another manifestation of its effects." "Sure." Havoc seemed anything but convinced. Brute's health was down to 82%. Murmur frowned. "Get ready, just in case he blows at different intervals." 80% hit them and nothing happened. If only it had stayed that way. At 75%, a shield formed around the brute, and he retched and finally threw up some sort of globular thing, which then crept in an outward circle, one toward each of the party members. Thankfully, they didn't seem to count the pets as party members. Beastly yanked... Okay, Beastly or... What was it again? Bestial. I think you changed it, right?
Yeah, I screwed up. I called him Beastly through most of the second book, but it was Bestial in the first book. So
Bestial yanked his cat bag and yelled, "Ranged attack only! Don't touch them! They'll burn like acid!" Let me make sure I'm doing his voice right. Bestial, brotherly, has a bit of a crush on Sin, can be... Okay. Sorry. There it is. Once they focus fired down the globules and ran around to avoid being touched by them, the shield dissipated and the fight started again. The brute very nearly got off another stun, but Dev bashed him with his shield, screaming almost incoherently. Alright, and Dev is... Oh, okay. The big brother type. Where'd it go? Sorry, guys. "How you like my shield, huh?" Murmur tried not to laugh, but only ended up snorting. The brute hit like a truck, and she frowned, glancing over at Sin, who was concentrating so hard she wasn't even wisecracking. With his hit points and her mana, it was going to be touch and go. Since Murmur didn't have any of her mana-enhancing spells yet, she couldn't even help. Her pet was also beginning to get low on mana, and Brute had only just fallen under 60%. Next time, she'd make sure the pet was as strong as strong melee damage, or else a ranger, so they wouldn't be hampered by a lack of something like mana. When the second bubble formed and the wave of globules attacked, it took a moment for her to notice the zombie-type mage standing next to the brute and nuking her pet. Activating a mez, she was relieved to see that it affected undead. For all she'd known, you couldn't mesmerize something with shriveled brains. This time, the globules gave a splutter when they died. Since they weren't attacking them in close range, they got lucky, but Murmur was willing to bet that the next round would spread even further. Renewing her mez, she tried to refresh the slow on Brute, but the system didn't like that, at least not while he had his shield up. The Brute is currently immune to that effect. Oh, the Brute is currently immune to that effect. Please try again later. What a polite interface. She smirked and prepared for the zombie to die. Weaken, slow, and suffocation down, she soothed her pet, who seemed to be getting quite riled up the longer they fought. It wasn't even as if the Brute was skilled. He was just tough as steel and sort of thick. She'd only just begin to see any sign of blood in its wounds. Otherwise, they seemed to be hacking away at calloused layers of flesh. The thought made her gag. Alright, so Sinister is also a female, usually hyperactive, except when it's very serious. Okay.
Don't suppose anyone got any grenade launcher abilities when they hit 12?
Sinister ground out the question with a nice dose of sarcasm through her clenched teeth. No? Devilish grunted. Again. It's like all he did when he fought. But I do have a defensive trick or two I'll activate after the next blobs to give you a bit of a breather. My life tap is nothing like yours.
Okay,
Sinister answered shortly. Lao! Sorry, guys. Lao! No! Hey! She knows what that means.
Okay,
Sinister answered shortly, and since Murmur's abilities were easily nailed down until the Brute hit 25%, she watched her friend out of the corner of her eye. The blood transfer flowing from the Brute to her was far more solid than it had been when they fought in the caves, as was its dispersal back to everyone else. It spun through the air like the blood was being carried as small red clouds along a current no one else could feel. Fascinating, and yet kind of gross. I keep forgetting what... 2%! Beast, what was it?
Bestial.
Bestial called out, and everyone eyed the Brute, ready for anything. 3 zombies this time, and a whole group of those bloody globules again. This time, Murmur was ready, and Mez the first one immediately. The second she got before it could shamble too far, and the third she barely nabbed before Merlin ran into it as he fled from the globule that seemed to be much faster than the last batch.
watch the radius,
she reminded the group, except it was far easier said than done.
Who was doing alchemy? We really need some potions.
Murmur barely jumped out of the way of exploding Iker, and her pet wasn't so lucky. His health was woefully low, but she shook her head at Sinister's inquiring glance. It wasn't worth letting one of them die to save her rather stupid pet. Finally, the barrier dropped, and Devilish surrounded herself with a pitch-black aura for about 10 seconds, during which time the big brute's health dipped nicely. Sin sighed with relief, pushed up the sleeves of her robes, and began applying her dots to heals again. Murmur alternatively debuffed and nuked, determined to use up the last vestiges of her mana. When Dev's life was just below 50%, and the rest of them were hovering around 40%, the massive blimp of a strange and vulgar thing finally heaved its last breath. Dev yanked his axe out of its stomach, where he'd finally managed to embed it good and proper, and the foulest stench filled the air as green and the foulest stench filled the air as green and red goops began to flow out from its stomach, and a slow rumbling made the ground tremor. Excuse me, guys. A little alcoholic hydration there. All right, Havoc. Gotta get back. Quiet, contemplative, very observant. Get back! Havoc yelled, but bestial and devilish weren't fast enough. The hulking gut it had taken them 20 minutes to hack through exploded like one of the globules the beast had produced, showering them all in a mixture of pus, viscera, and blood. Murmur had never believed a virtual representation of herself could puke in the game world, until right then. The brute has been slain. All right, Sin is number 2. This is the higher pitched one. Okay.
Oh my God.
Sin's breath came in ragged gasps as she tried not to inhale any of the goop.
The smell. I can't.
He has been vanished. Oh. He has been vanished. No. Sorry, guys. He has been vanquished for the first time by the guild Fable. Murmur was wiping the back of her mouth with her hand after emptying the contents of her pretend stomach. Odd. She was satisfied to see that everyone else was rather sick. Well, everyone else except for Havoc, who was standing the furthest away. You know not what you've unleashed.
Let's get out of here.
Sin looked pale. Her otherwise purple-tinged dark skin had a lightly lilac undertone. But Murmur stopped her.
Apparently, we've really done it now and unleashed something frightening. Although I doubt it smells worse than what we just encountered. Frankly, I don't think we were supposed to fight this here. I think we were making too much noise.
Merlin blinked at her, and she didn't know if she should tell him he had a glob of something hanging right in the middle of his forehead from his hair. Are we doing Merlin here? I think this is Merlin. Merlin, fun, usually they're puller. Okay.
I guess we were a bit loud after those skeletons. Pretty sure mobs aren't too fond of us laughing after massacring a heap of them.
Damn it! Why can't one of you be a damned water mage?
Sin's eyes were wide, and her voice held a note of hysteria.
Hey, Sin!
Bestial waved a hand in front of her face.
We can check if the mobs have re-popped upstairs if you like. I'll come with you. We'll let the others know what we find out.
Sin nodded, the tension leaking from her shoulders. The two of them headed back up the stairs, Sin gingerly stepping over acid puddles on the floor.
That was unexpected.
Merlin finally found the blob on his forehead and flicked it off.
Sin is usually so fierce.
Murmur turned and raised an eyebrow.
We literally just got covered in guts. What's there to be fierce about here? About there?
Bestial. Okay, no repos yet. Quick rinse time. Okay, so that's like the chat, right? The rest of them headed up to rinse themselves off in the water at the shoreline. It was bright outside, and the sun shone down in brilliant waves, reflecting like Belius's eyes. Murmur frowned, wondering why she thought of him, but all that ever did was make her curious about why the world just felt like it was real. Sin brightened considerably once the smell was mostly gone, and they headed down into the dungeon again, ready to delve down deeper. I keep forgetting what devilish sounds like. Oh, wait. Shit. Oh, I replaced bestial with devilish's voice.
It's all good.
Okay. I'm gonna just switch. I'm just gonna commit to the switch and do Bestial. With the other voice that I made. Let's see, where we go.
Shit!
Devilish rushed over to the slowly rotting corpse.
Forgot to loot.
He froze for a moment in a half-crouch that very delicately avoided the worst of the gore on the ground.
Necro robe, caster, maybe healer, two-handed mace, and one of those crystals and stones again for you, Mur. Oh, and a lot of cash for us.
The cha-ching sound resonated through the room as a hefty sum of gold landed with each of them. Veronal. All right, back to some chat stuff. Veronal. What the fuck, guys? What are you killing without us? What are you killing without us? Devilish. We sort of got jumped and almost all died. Sinister. You don't even understand the smell that poured out of its body, guys. Sorry. You don't even understand the smell that poured out of its body, guys. Seriously, you don't want to know. Rashlin, we're so beating you to 15 now. And then we're going to own that castle thing. Mur moved forward and grabbed the Midia crystal. This one was similar in appearance, but was tinged a smoky black color in the middle. Another smooth black rock, another of Belius' memories. Except this time, Murmur decided she wanted some answers before she forked it over. How come that's a necro robe? Sinister asked Havoc, and Murmur could hear the slight hint of irritation in her friend's voice. Havoc just laughed. Havoc. How did I do Havoc's voice before?
He's like, calm.
Oh, quite contemplative. Okay. Quiet, contemplative. Havoc just laughed. It's got a plus 2% to summoned undead stats on it. It's not huge or anything, but it's nice along with 1 intelligence. What makes your mace a healer mace? Sin just looked at him. You can't even wield a two-handed mace. Besides, it's got plus 1 wisdom on it. So it's mine, since you all know I need wisdom. Well, we weren't going to say anything. Merlin only just hopped out of the way, avoiding a smash of said mace. Keep it down, Devilish motioned across his lips. No, wait, Devilish is the brotherly one.
Keep it down!
Devilish motioned across his lips.
This back room probably doesn't hide anything, but since I think it's where he came from and where he threw that half-eaten ribcage from, it might be an idea to just watch what we're saying and how loudly we're doing it.
Even Murmur felt a bit ashamed. Usually, she was the first one to bark out orders. She had so many thoughts going on in her mind at once that it just didn't feel like it had such a high priority when all of these adventurers were just a small fry. Thanks, Dev. The room they walked into was huge. Its stone floors were roughly cobbled, and in the middle sat a huge stone slab. On top of the slab lay half-butchered remains, and over the fireplace, cut crudely into the opposite wall, was a body on a spit. Luckily, all the fire was now was burning embers, but still, as real as Somnia was, this was downright spooky. At first, the walls seemed to be hewn out of stone, and while upon closer inspection it truly appeared they were... Oh, sorry. At first, the walls seemed to be hewn out of stone, and while upon closer inspection it truly appeared there were also stains of blood that ran from hooks embedded up high enough to string a person or even a locust. Skin and blood and guts stained the walls and the floors, and right next to the slab sat a massive chest. The metal was dulled, with spots of rust here and there, and the bands around it appeared to be out of something hardier, but Murmur couldn't place the lifeless gray metal. She moved toward it, frowning, but Devilish held out a hand to stop her.
We don't know what it is.
Murmur rolled her eyes. It's a chest.
Yes, but...
Devilish gestured to everyone's slowly drying clothes.
What's inside it?
Havoc shrugged. Guess there's only one way to find out. There's no lock, so if we all stand back, my pet can probably open it. If he dies, all it cost me are some bone chips, and after that haul from the previous passage, I'm set for life. Devilish shrugged and moved back, just shy of touching the grimy wall.
I'm not a fan of leaving to wash goop away again.
None of us are, idiot. Sin moved to stand by Murmur, leaning her head on her shoulder. Murmur absent-mindedly patted her best friend's hair. They all watched intently as Havoc also distanced himself before sending his pet in. Cringing as the skeleton approached. They all blinked when it flipped the lid and nothing happened, except that it banged down against the other side with a strange metallic clank. Sorry, I need some hydration.
Well, I was expecting something more along the lines of boom.
Bestial gestured with his hands. Murmur crept closer with Sinister lagging behind, clutching at her left arm. Bending down, Murmur shook her arm free and picked up a rather large silver box. Hold me close and you will see. Clear the dungeon. Set me free. She snorted. Fantastic. A riddle. Bestial shrugged.
Considering we were thinking of clearing it anyway...
Murmur shoved the thing into her inventory, worried at first that it was too large, but it went in without a problem. Seriously, the immersion is only broken by how much shit I have in my bags. Sin laughed. You're a hoarder, Mur. Probably. This time, they let Dev move forward and open the first, while the others prepped themselves some distance behind him, ready to go. However, as he opened the door, nothing came barging through, and he sighed heavily. Dev is... Shit, I keep forgetting these characters. Dev is... Devilish. Okay, that's right.
We should be as quiet as possible. If you need something, send it through guild or group chat.
The man makes sense, muttered Merlin, activating Sneak and heading past their tank to scout the area. A minute later, he returned, his eyes round like saucers.
You don't even understand. This is freaking huge!
Murmur frowned. But the island is relatively small. How does it have so much underneath it? Merlin shrugged.
No clue, but it does go down quite a ways, and I'm pretty sure there's water seeping through into the tunnels, at least at the bottom. Thing is, it opens out to this amazing set of ledges and paths. From what I could see, there are more gorks down there, but I have no idea what's at the bottom of it. The bad thing is, I'm pretty sure the brute was the gatekeeper, and the other mobs in there are probably raid trash. They sure as hell shine like it.
Rashlin, what are you guys doing? Rashlin, about to hit 13 before you all. Why? Wanna come raid? Veronal, where are you? Devilish, Hammer Lake, on the island. You'll need to come down into the ruins. Don't mind the smell. Danson, found a hidden dungeon or something? Sinister, or something is more accurate. But it'll do. There was a slight pause. Rashlin, you owe us one. We'll be there after we sell some shit. Give us about 30 minutes. Havoc began walking back to the exit.
Let's go make sure there are no respawns.
The rest of the group followed him, cautiously stepping over the goop on the ground. The brute's corpse was slowly dissolving. Unlike all the other bosses or named they'd killed, this one was unique because it didn't simply disappear. Murmur frowned as she entered the outside again. None of the mobs near the dungeon had respawned, so they headed out quietly to survey the rest of the area. They weren't that difficult. Aren't mobs supposed to respawn in conjunction with how powerful they are in-game? Like, the harder to kill, the longer it takes them to reappear? That's what the write-up said, Havoc spoke softly, surveying their surroundings. It's been hours, which made the absence of simple elite mobs somewhat troubling. Hey! Sin's voice was tinged with panic. Try to gate, Mur! Havoc! Mur obliged. At worst, she'd have to travel back with Rash. Your spell wanes and will not transport you from this location until the event is complete. All right, and that's it for KT Hanna's Somnia Online Initializing. So yeah, thank you, KT Hanna, for requesting. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so how did the voices sound?
They're good. They're good. Mur was a little. Mur's kind of serious. I don't know what I wrote there, but she would have been a little more serious. But otherwise, everything was pretty good. Like considering you did it on the fly, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, completely off the cuff, cold read. That's what's fun about this show.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Like I wish I had more time to like read people's requests and stuff. But at the same time, it's kind of fun to just wing it.
Dive in, yeah. It was I was thinking, man, I should have sent a different scene, but like some of my scenes have 12 characters, so that wouldn't have helped. So because they like raid a mob. So
good. All right, so guys, that one is actually going to be released June 15th. But if you check the description below, you will see that there's a link to the pre-order. So if you want to pick it up, if you want to get, actually, here's the thing about Kindle authors, guys. If you pre-order things, it ups their ranking before the release. So, like, the more pre-orders they get, the better the release actually is for them.
Yeah, if they're like staggered, if you get like a heap when you first put it up, which is why you'll see a lot of authors not putting them up too early unless they've got a book already, like a first book.
Right.
But if you put it up like 10 days before and get a steady stream of pre-orders, it boosts your like new release appearance, I guess. I was sitting at 22 the other day, so that was nice. Woo!
Wow.
But yeah, so that's really cool. That's nice. And then like it automatically gets downloaded, which is fun. So
right,
but it's also on KU. So when it comes out, it'll be on KU for those who read on KU.
Awesome. Yeah, I know a lot of Gamelit people are on KU, and they love
including me. So awesome! Thank you so much. This is a lot of fun.
Thank you, Katie, for requesting.
Yay!
Yeah, definitely. You guys need to move to KC.
Well, we'll have to come visit sometime because
at least.
I don't think we can move the business to Kansas City. So
what's the business?
We do heating and air. So
okay.
Yeah. So
heating and air out here.
Yeah, I know, but they actually have like, a company that does all the Wichita area. So
all right.
And they've had it for like 35 years.
Oh shit.
Going. So yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty cool. It's
yeah.
pretty cool. So thank you, Katie.
I'll skedoodle.
Out, and everybody else, thank you for coming and hanging out with me in my Honey, I Shrunk the Kids backyard. If I ever do this again in my backyard, it will be cut. I promise. But if you liked any of the requests that I read from today, check the description below. All the links to their Kindle versions. Actually, two of them are pre-order only. So if you want to support the authors, if you liked what you heard here, go check those out. Go pre-order for them, and so they'll have a better release when it actually hits. I believe the Wayward Bard obviously is already available, so pick that up. Justin Thomas James will be narrating it through Sound Booth Theater. We already have Lori Catherine Winkle on standby for the female characters. Justin will be composing music, violin music, for the bard to be playing in the audiobook. So look forward to that as the audio comes out. And that's our show for today. This weekend, Saturday, excuse me, I'm like hiccuping and burping and stuff. Saturday, Charles Dean and I will be doing a Drinking with Charles.
to promote War Eternus 2. I'm so looking forward to this. Charles takes forever to write, but when he does get something out, it's great. I'm so looking forward to. All right, the cops are coming to arrest me for doing a live stream out in public. I'm sorry, guys. I gotta go. Just kidding. Okay. War Eternus 2 is coming out very, very soon. So I'm going to be starting production on the audiobook very, very soon. Saturday, we're celebrating the release. And I will be at my mom's house with a bunch of other old Thai ladies who will be drinking a lot. So I'll be drinking, Charles will be drinking, and a lot of old Thai ladies will be drinking behind me and having a party. So that ought to be fun on Saturday night. You guys should come and drink with us. I believe Charles will have a better time. Like I'm guessing he's going to say 8 p.m. Eastern, which will be 7 p.m. Central. So come join us for that. And the day after that, I'm heading to Tulsa to go hang out with Annie and to go record music for Monster Hunt NYC, Harmon Cooper's newest series that's actually going to be released on Friday on Kindle. So keep an eye out for that on Kindle. Go buy it on Kindle, and then when the audio comes out, it'll be our very first musical audiobook with full audio drama, sound effects, and everything. So I'm so fucking excited for that, guys. Keep an eye out again. If you haven't already, go follow or go join the Gamelit Society Facebook group. Just such a great environment to hang out and talk about Gamelit. If you haven't already, go join the Sound Booth Theater Live Facebook group, where you can request and make and vote on what the next request is that I actually read. The top 3 in every poll is what I actually get done. So go check that out. I'm not sure if it's this week or next week. Justin Thomas James will be hosting his own Sound Booth Theater Live, talking about Supers, Ex-Heroes by Jamie Hawk. This is the first time I'm actually mentioning this in public. So anyone who's watching who knows who Jamie Hawk is, knows what those books are that have just come out and kind of took the Amazon store by storm for a little bit, you know now that we're set up with Sound Booth Theater Live Sound Booth Theater is set up to start producing Jamie Hawk's audiobooks. So Super's Ex-Heroes is going to be narrated by Justin Thomas James. Planet Kill is going to be narrated by Annie Ellicott. And Super's Ex-Gods, which just came out not too long ago, is going to be narrated by someone else. I'm not going to say who yet. But all 3 are Jamie Hawk's babies, and they will all be coming out in the coming months. So keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for the Sound Booth Theater newsletter. If you haven't yet, go to the soundbooththeater.com website and sign up for our newsletter so you can get updated on our newest releases. And I think that's about it for this stream. So thank you guys so much for having patience with me and the fire and my outside and my Honey, I Shrunk the Kids set behind me and my next door neighbor's lawnmower. And I will see you again soon.